but honest exchange of respect for another human being. This is how she grew, and this is how she grew her children. She was a rebel. Oh, yes, she was. She was the one who would always do what she felt in her heart was necessary and best, no matter what others thought. So when I was 13 years old, my mother decided that life in Houston, Texas, which was in the 19-whatevers, was too restrictive for any human soul. She packed up everything we had, put most of our belongings in storage, went down to the Greyhound bus station and purchased tickets to take us to Mexico City, where we would live for 4 months. My father thought she had lost her very mind. He often thought that. I thought she was crazy too. I determined I was going to go on a hunger strike. I would be dead by the time we reached San Antonio, and she would be sorry. That didn't happen. And I'm very glad that it didn't, because an entire world was opened for me. A new world, a bigger world, a brighter world, a world without constraint and restrictions. Other phenomenal women in my life have different personality traits, but there's that one thing that's always common to them, and that is to add value to the lives of others. My mama Golda gave birth to 10 children. She was not a sophisticated woman at all, but she knew how to grow things, and she knew how to love. That goes a long, 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 long way. Yes, yes. I did not know my mother's mother. She passed away when my mother was 9. My maternal grandfather remarried, so the maternal grandmother that I knew was my mama Bessie Lewis Ayers. She grew up in rural communities, attended schools. Her father was a reverend, and she became a teacher. She became a dedicated teacher in the community of Chester, South Carolina, and rose to become an assistant principal before her retirement. And I love going to Chester because inevitably somebody's going to come up to me and say, "Your grandmother was my teacher, and she was tough, and she made us learn things, and she made life better." Phenomenal women. Then there's my great Aunt Fanny. My great Aunt Fanny, born in Port Allen, Louisiana, the farthest she ever moved from that place was to go to Houston to visit my father. I don't think she was a high school graduate. In fact, I know she wasn't. She spent all of her time in the rural farming community of Lobdell, Louisiana. Port Allen, Lobdell, it's all together. She knew how to mend things. She knew how to go out and pick herbs and leaves and wasps' nests and make poultices and cure things that the doctors didn't. Phenomenal woman. And my high school English teacher, Mrs. Edwina Whedon, you must understand that I came through, like a number of ladies here today, during a time of legal segregation. For those of you who don't know about this, it was quite something to live through. But there were those people who stood to offer themselves in a way that would allow us to envision ourselves bigger than the legal constraints that were being placed upon us. And Mrs. Whedon was one of them. She instilled in us the love for literature, for reading and reading between the lines. Oh yes, you must read between the lines. That's where it's all hidden. That's where the meaning really is. But you must learn to love, to read and read everything. We are each of us possessed of great intellect. Each of us. We don't always explore it to its fullest. We're not always encouraged to today. I went to an awards show, and ladies, I must tell you, I know I live a somewhat secluded life because I take care of myself and my business and my family, and that's what I really do. But when I saw all these young women coming out with strips of fabric where clothing should be, I wondered, what have happened? What have happened here? It wasn't lovely. It wasn't alluring. It wasn't graceful. And quite frankly, the men don't really appreciate it. Intellect. Let this be what guides us. Let us give the young ladies this. Let's give them the understanding of how great their intellectual potential is. And I'm not just talking about book learning. I'm talking about intelligence. Yes, we have it, we're possessed of it. Why not use it? Why not augment it? Why not share it? Yeah? Women are to be prized and valued above all else. In ancient times, this truth was recognized universally. Oh yes, in ancient times, this truth was honored. It is even written in a scripture, an ancient scripture of India, Bhagavad Gita, which literally means the song of love. The Lord tells his disciple, and I quote, "Where the women go, the culture goes." Right. Yes. Oh yes. Where the women go, the culture goes. Let us determine where we go. Let it not be determined by fashion, by media, by advertisement, by feelings of inadequacy or need to compete with what that is, I don't know. I'm serious. Let us determine where we go. Because where we go, the culture goes.